Go ahead.
Okay, great. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this full moon meditation meeting in the sign of Sagittarius. Thank you all for joining us here today on this very actually warm day inside of our New York office at the headquarters of the Lucis Trust. Of course, a warm welcome to everyone joining us online in all your different climates, probably focused all over the world. Bienvenidos también a todos los que hablan español y se unen a nosotros. So we are just over 13 hours away from the exact time of the full moon, which occurs tomorrow morning at 4:01 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And this means we are within the periphery, basically within the periphery of the moment of the greatest intensity and therefore greatest opportunity of this monthly cycle. The full moon presents disciples and aspirants with a profound opportunity to contribute to a vast process of planetary redemption involving all grades of life upon our planet. At the time of the full moon, the cyclic meditation of our planetary logos is said to be at its strongest, meaning that at this time, his thought, his power, and his will are fully focused and brought to bear to the fulfillment of this great redemptive project. Behind this project, though, stands a will even greater than his, a will, a command so great that it drove this great life into objectivity and demanded his appearance in form. Humanity being an essential part of this planetary life definitely has a role to play in the fulfillment of this great command. We are responsible for ensuring that this great redemptive imperative is carried to all facets of the manifested world. We accomplish this task by cooperating with the spiritual hierarchy of our planet, a great body of enlightened sons of God who are lords of compassion, masters of the wisdom, and above all, custodians of the plan. Through them, divine thought or ideation becomes manifest as an active stream and reservoir of spiritual intuition or buddhi. This reservoir of buddhic substance makes impact upon the manifested world through the medium of manas, or mind, which is its vehicle. The monastic vehicle which these energies require, though, is man himself. And the implementation of the plan, therefore, requires his active, intelligent, and conscious cooperation. Man forms a bridge for these descending energies out of the substance of his own nature, and he does so through the magical power of the soul. His consecrated thought and sacrificial living are supported by techniques of occult meditation. He becomes the path so that others might be saved. On this path, the aspirant learns to contact the soul, to align with it, and eventually to appropriate the consciousness of the soul to such an extent that he or she becomes that soul in living outer expression. He sounds forth his egoic note as he believes he hears it, and repeats on his own small scale the creative work of the planetary logos. Logos, word, and speech are all very occultly similar in their meaning. Logos specifically has been defined as the outer expression and effect of an ever concealed cause. This cause being ever concealed, of course, from our plane of objectivity. Similarly, in the microcosm, man, the soul, which is also called the Word, likewise reflects the world of cause within itself, making it manifest through the medium of its thought. And fully within the three worlds, we can say that human speech is the logos of thought. For our thoughts are concealed by and made manifest through the medium of speech, spoken or written. Thus does divine thought precipitate down a great chain of interconnected agencies, interconnected lives, to act upon the manifested world, and definitely producing effects. And so as we get started now, let us just take a brief moment to stand within the light of this creative, redemptive imperative and sound together the following mantra, which is called the invocation of light. Those of you online should have on the screen the mantra, and those of you here will have it in those yellow cards. Radiance we are and power. We stand forever with our hands stretched out, linking the heavens and the earth, the inner world of meaning and the subtle world of glamour. We reach into the light and bring it down to meet the need. We reach into the silent place and bring from thence the gift of understanding. Thus, with the light we work and turn the darkness into day. Sagittarius asks us to consider the role that focused, directed thought plays in the fulfillment of humanity's planetary responsibility to implement the plan on Earth. It asks us, how can thought be directed in such a way that it evokes the intuition and brings it intelligently to life? What steps do we need to take so that this intuition, once evoked, is directed and employed in service to the plan? The disciple enters Sagittarius having emerged from the experience of Scorpio triumphant, with purified personality and largely free of much of the liabilities of his lunar or lower nature. In Scorpio, he has learned to kill out desire and therefore to a significant degree has, quote, mounted upon the shoulders of his slain self, as an ancient esoteric catechism phrases it. His intent and aspiration are now true, and he is prepared to make his way to the foot of the mountain unburdened and with haste. In Sagittarius, the disciple makes this journey from the darkness of Scorpio towards the light of Capricorn by walking in the light which he engenders and which he likewise spreads abroad for the benefit of others and not for himself. He travels definitely upon the wings of the soul and fully upon the plains of earth. He treads the path between the pairs of opposites with great facility, establishing a balance between personality and soul, becoming both one or the other as need arises. In Sagittarius, the path between the pairs of opposites is said to run straight and level. And it is in this sense similar to Libra. But unlike Libra, in Sagittarius, this middle way is tread with sureness of direction, with fervent aspiration, and above all, with fiery intensity. The fieriness of Sagittarius prepares one well for the very fiery ordeal which the applicant to initiation must endure once he reaches Capricorn. Sagittarius does so by bringing in the qualities of intensity and directedness in combination with the quality of idealism. This idealism is fiery, it is rightly oriented, and it is true. It grants the power to see the vision and the tenacity and the perseverance to give one's all towards its realization. The ability to work with intensity, or what we also call from a point of tension, is essential in all occult work. It is key to the engendering of a magnetic aura upon which higher impressions play. And it also produces, and through this magnetic aura, it also produces beneficent effects upon the disciple's environment. This point of tension, though, it must be focused specifically at the point where soul and personality blend and meet. It is at this point that the horizontal and vertical components of the cross meet and the two paths blend together within a higher way. These points of tension produce points of crisis, which in turn produce points of revelation, at one-ment, and when the sacrificial will of the soul becomes also the will of the personality, when those two are one, the consciousness of the disciple is released like an arrow. He flies directly to his goal across the plains and valleys of Sagittarius, through the portal and into Capricorn, ready for the very drastic ordeal which that sign brings. The disciple moves quickly through Sagittarius, largely because the challenges of Scorpio have already granted control over the lower nature. Such control is essential before the quality of intensity can be usefully employed. This intensity must not fuel the fire of his lower life, but rather fan into a flame that hidden point of synthesis where soul and personality meet. Another consequence of the Scorpio experience is that it releases the mind into fuller activity, enabling it to more fully govern. Now, at first, this simply means that the intellect comes powerfully into play and controls the emotional nature. But in Sagittarius, this intellect is increasingly illumined by the light of the soul. And it is within this light of the soul that the even more brilliant light of the intuition is eventually discovered. Intuition is a very broad concept. We could say it's also, rather than a concept, maybe a phenomenon. So the intuition is, technically speaking, the substance of the plan, a definitely formless substance from our point of view. It can also be defined as synthetic understanding, or as a direct apprehension of truth. It bestows a sense of universality wherein all separateness ceases, and illumination, understanding, and love hold sway. So the intuition is revealed via the blended light of soul and personality working together as one through the medium of the mind. It is an incredibly delicate and rarefied substance. It is subtler even than the self, the soul. And it can only be experienced when all personality vibrations have been stilled, and this definitely includes the thought-form-making tendency of the lower mind. There are at least several ways to evoke the intuition. Skill in contemplation is one. The Tibetan also recommends the study of symbols. In this technique, the mind is abstracted into the meaning and significance which resides behind form, that form being the symbol. Another way to evoke the intuition is through a depth and intensity of love. This was the path employed by John the Evangelist. and it led to his prophetic vision, which he then recorded in the book of Revelations. An important point about the intuition is that which the intuition reveals always demands expression and service. And so it immediately grants the recipient the privilege and the responsibility to be bestower of that vision also. The disciple thus turns his attention to the needs of the world, but in the light of the intuition, he sees these needs differently than before. In this light, all souls are seen as one part of a much greater whole. Individuality becomes a singular spark within an ever-burning flame, a drop within a vast ocean. Rather than a world of struggling personalities, the intuition reveals the pain and sorrow of myriad of lost and fallen souls. Rather than an erring and misguided humanity, it reveals a planetary God in crisis, preparing for a most exalted step upon the cosmic way. The disciple stands at the very center of intuitive vision and world need, and he weaves a path which furthers the salvation of some specific part of that whole. He does so through the power of his thought. The ability to create thought forms with any degree of efficacy naturally bestows responsibility. Thought is power after all. It is the power to aid, to uplift, to create, to destroy, to redeem, and to make all things new. It can, of course, be used for evil just as readily as it can for good. Thought is the quintessential creative agent on our planet, and it is the most powerful tool in the soul's arsenal as it seeks to play its part in meeting world need. Thought forms which are directed towards some specific end definitely produce effects. Thoughts are things, perhaps we've heard this before. They can be conceived as objects within the mind or objects on the plane of mind. But occultism says that thoughts are, in fact, living beings, which persist until they fulfill the mission for which they were created, or until the will of the sender is rendered insufficient to sustain their life. When directed towards others, the thought form arrives in the aura of its target and actually can persist there for some time. A thought of love uplifts and can even heal. Likewise, a desire to protect, which is directed with a sufficient will and strength of mind, creates a form which, upon reaching the aura of that person, can have a veritable shielding effect. Thought forms also place ideas which are transcendental and formless into forms which others can access. These thought forms, if powerful enough or effective enough, become contacted by groups or even by humanity as a whole. Massed thought causes an accretion of mental substance, which conditions the originating form, distorting it, and inevitably lowering its vibration. And while this may seem a disaster of sorts, it is in fact an important part of the process of evolution. Thought forms of high vibration have no magnetic effect on minds whose vibration is not yet high enough to register them. Thus, the importance of each and all of the many grades of servers, the many grades of thinkers upon our planet. Those working definitely within the periphery of the great ashram, those members of the new group of world servers, and of course, those who work exclusively within the ring pass knot of humanity. Sagittarius reminds us that there can be no thought whatsoever there can be no direction whatsoever apart from thought. The plan, in fact, is the ordered direction of God's thought. Likewise, humanity ceaselessly creates forms in the three worlds through its thought, giving directed and ordered shape to its imperfect will and vision. The beneficence of these forms which humanity ceaselessly creates is dependent upon humanity's moral alignment. The power of these forms is dependent upon our ability as a species to think. The speed with which today humanity is finding both moral alignment and facility in thought is, in fact, astounding and bodes well for our future. For one cannot achieve any comprehension of God's plan except through thought, and humanity's conscious, thoughtful participation in that plan, that thought of deity, is absolutely required for us to move forward. Ultimately, the very living nature of the plan demands that it work out through the livingness of humanity's experience and form, and not just thought in the abstract. Perhaps then it is truer to say that the plan is best comprehended through a process of living thought, or what we could call the practice of the mind in nature. Or even more simply, we might call it the consciousness of the soul in daily life. Thus does the keynote of every disciple sound forth in a troubled world. Behold, I make all things new. So now we proceed with our meditation. He who faces the light and stands within its radiance is blinded to the issues of the world of men. He passes on the lighted way to the great center of absorption. But he who feels the urge to pass that way, yet loves his brother on the darkened path, revolves upon the pedestal of light and turns the other way. He faces towards the dark. And then the 7 points of light within himself transmit the outward streaming light, and lo, the face of those upon the darkened way receives that light. For them, the way is not so dark. Behind the warriors, twixt the light and dark, blazes the light of hierarchy. We affirm the fact of group fusion and integration within the heart center of the group of world servers, mediating between hierarchy and humanity. I am one with my group brothers, and all that I have is theirs. May the love which is in my soul pour forth to them. May the strength which is in me lift and aid them. May the thoughts which my soul creates reach and encourage them. alignment. We project a line of lighted energy towards the spiritual hierarchy of the planet, the planetary heart, the great ashram of Sanat Kumara, and towards the Christ at the heart of hierarchy. We extend the line of light towards Shambhala, the center where the will of God is known. Higher interlude. Hold the contemplative mind open to the extraplanetary energies, streaming into Shambhala and radiated through hierarchy. Using the creative imagination, endeavor to see the three planetary centers, Shambhala, hierarchy, and humanity, gradually coming into alignment and interplay. meditation. Reflect on the seed thought for Sagittarius. I see the goal. I reach that goal, and then I see another. I see the goal. I reach that goal, and then I see another. Precipitation. Using the creative imagination, visualize the energies of light, love, and the will to good pouring throughout the planet and becoming anchored on Earth in prepared physical plane centers through which the plan can manifest. We use the sixfold progression of divine love as a sequence of energy precipitation. Shambhala, hierarchy, the Christ, the new group of world servers, men and women of goodwill everywhere in the world, and physical centers of distribution. Lower interlude. Refocus the consciousness as a group within the periphery of the great ashram. We sound together the affirmation. In the center of all love, I stand. From that center, I, the soul, will outward move. From that center, I, the one who serves, will work. May the love of the divine self be shed abroad in my heart, through my group, and throughout the world. Visualize the downpouring spiritual inflow released from Shambhala through the hierarchy and streaming into humanity through the prepared channel. Consider how these inpouring energies are establishing the pathway of light for the coming world teacher, the Christ. distribution. As a great invocation is sounded, visualize the outpouring of light, love, and power from the spiritual hierarchy through the 5 planetary inlets: London, Darjeeling, New York, Geneva, Tokyo, irradiating the consciousness of the whole human race. From the point of light within the mind of God, let light stream forth into the minds of men. Let light descend on earth. From the point of love within the heart of God, let love stream forth into the hearts of men. May Christ return to earth. From the center, where the will of God is known, let purpose guide the little wills of men, the purpose which the masters know and serve. From the center, which we call the race of men, let the plan of love and light work out, and may it seal the door where evil dwells. Let light and love and power restore the plan on earth. Ooh.